please allow me to introduce Kelley Radcliffe from Seagate. And Kelley, tell us your story.
Thanks, Eli. There is some echoing in my story from what Jill shared, but I'll tell you a little bit about Seagate. We've been around for over 40 years as a leader in the storage industry. So we're not a new company, we're an older company, and we do have a traditional way of doing things. So this year has really thrown a lot of people for a loop. We generate over 10 billion in annual revenue. And when we start reporting on our shipments, we now, instead of talking about units, we talk about exabytes. And that's just part of what I'll get into is our shift in how our sellers have to think and how our customers have to think. We are a large manufacturing company. We have over 40,000 employees worldwide, but our sales organization is very effectively structured for a targeted global impact. So when I'm supporting a sales organization, it is in EMEA, it's in the Americas, and it's in Asia, APAC, China. So I'm working with a lot of different time zones, a lot of different perspectives, and a lot of different needs. Specifically for our sales meeting, we had around 500 attendees. A good portion of those, most of them were actual salespeople, sales management, sales representatives. About 300 of those were from sales. And then our extended sales operations organization, around 150 people, they attended, plus 75 cross-functional key partners that we work with. We are really big on our themes when we design these sales meetings, which are generally live events. This year's event was supposed to be in my hometown of San Diego. I was so excited that we were going to go to San Diego and be in such a beautiful, America's finest city, be such a beautiful place. But of course, early in the year, we made the decision to switch to a virtual meeting. And our theme was all about data voyage. And it's about the rise of the edge and actualization of IT 4.0, which is something we reference. Internally, we look at different technology waves. We've had so much of the laptop and the personal computer, and then moving into cloud. And now we're talking about IT 4.0 and edge devices and how you move data, from your personal devices back to major data warehouses, and how you make that data useful right now, as opposed to waiting for something to run on a nightly basis. We have to then look at different customers. Some of our customers are moving with that transition, and some of it involves working with new customers, new companies out there. So we have a team of core reps who are working with our long-term, loyal customers. And then we've got some hunters that are out there looking for the new business. So how do we bridge what our core salespeople need to talk about and what our new hunters have to go look at? So it was really kind of interesting to use this theme of a data voyage, and talking about, our rally cry was "We are explorers," and that's what everyone has to be, from the reps who are already in this business and as exploring those IT 4.0 spaces and edge spaces, and then the people that have to come along and need to learn. Our core reps still need to learn. How do they have those new conversations instead of talking to a buyer? How do they talk to an engineer? Especially if they don't have a whole team coming with them to have that conversation. So the theme really worked well with our experience, and we did a lot of design work around that. I have a wonderful dedicated team of 4 people that work for me, 2 full-time employees, and then I'm lucky to have 2 interns that have been staying on with us. But then we also work internally with an event team. We have an extended event team of about 15 people. It's cross-functional between sales and marketing and IT. So we partner every year. The same team builds the event every single year. But our creative team did a wonderful job really building out this explorer theme. We had, in addition to building a microsite, we use Microsoft SharePoint, so we have a microsite that had all kinds of collateral on it, from Teams backgrounds, digital wallpaper, PowerPoint presentation. There's a whole theme that has different explorer, from space to underwater, just making a unique experience for our attendees. And even the swag that normally you'd get if you were at the live event, we had everything go out to our attendees, and it all was focused around the current reality of there was a Huggle in it, so a Huggle face mask, but then also still wanting to play with this idea of being able to go on a voyage. So we had an RFID passport holder, and we had a compass that was given out. It's a really nice compass. So just some things to kind of understand that people are still excited and want to get out and go places, but that we also have this reality of not being able to be face-to-face. And if you are face-to-face, you've got a face mask on. So those were just some of the things we were looking at. As a planning team and looking at what the attendees would need, we set up for training. We had a pre-event, we had main week, which would normally be 3 full days. This was still 3 full days of the main event. And then we've also had some post-event sharing out of content. So our attendees did see pre-recorded sessions, which we call general sessions, that would be executive messaging, and also some different videos that our creative team has presented. That would take up about 4 hours of the first day. Then in the afternoon, they did some regional Q&A sessions and awards sessions. So then we would go to our second and third day, which we reserved for product and professional skills training. But this all sort of coincided with our initial relationship with SalesHood. So just earlier this year, we started working with SalesHood. And so at the same time that we're preparing for our sales meeting, we're also getting all of our salespeople on board with SalesHood. So just like Jill was talking about having these videos that people presented as part of our onboarding activities to SalesHood, we had some of our reps do videos. They had to basically do a video, 2-minute or less video, to sell an obsolete item. So they had a choice of 5 items that they could sell. We were then grading them, basically on the clarity of their speech, their enthusiasm, what their messaging was, how it all looked. And then our managers, our sales managers, would shared with us the ones that they thought were the best. We had a group of 3 winners and then 1 special award. And we worked that into our professional skills training, which part of it focused on remote selling. Although we have a really mature sales organization, this is all very new to them. They work remote, but they're not used to working with customers remotely, in the sense that when they have major meetings, those would be face-to-face. And a lot of our salespeople, we were finding out, were not as familiar or not as comfortable having these larger meetings and larger agenda meetings virtually. And we heard that from our sales leaders, that this was an area of focus. So we partnered with a company that SalesHood has been working with. If you have SalesHood, then part of your package includes this remote selling information. We utilized that in our pre-work, and we partnered with the company that put that together. And
Winning by design.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, Winning by Design.
Oh, Winning by Design, yes.
Yeah.
So we had Winning by Design come in and do a remote selling session with us. And in that session, we used Kahoot, just as Jill talked about. So there was some gamification there. But we had a really good full event that went from pre-recorded messaging to also live training that we set up. There was a total of 4 hours of live training, 2 hours of product, 2 hours of professional. and then also training that was set up with different learning paths through Saleshood. So based on whether a rep is selling our core products or selling more of the newer, looking at the systems, the IT 4.0 side, they had a range of different content that they could pick to take on their own time and in their regional time frames. And then the professional skills was required across the board. Everyone participated in that, but they had 2 hours of live training on different topics and then 2 hours of pre-recorded content or learning paths that was available. And what we've been doing after the fact is that each day we highlight one of those modules that was on Saleshood or that isn't on Saleshood, because we know that people, they only had so much time to go through the training that was offered. So they might not be aware that there was a module available. If they're a core rep, they might not have really understood that there was something in the IT 4.0 section that would be really useful or informative for them. So here they get a chance to see what's there and go check it out on their own time. Yeah, and I just want to finish it up with, we were really concerned that this was such a change for us, but we received so many comments from our sales leaders who all, so many just said this was the best sales meeting we've had, period, not just virtual. So it was really wonderful how people felt energized and they felt like they understood our messaging and were excited, and even excited to use Saleshood, which was one of my goals, is that people would want to, they would see how we were using Saleshood, see the benefits of it. And, we've been contacted, my team has been contacted, like, we want to make more huddles. We want to do more with this platform. So it really worked out well for us.
Hey, Kelley, amazing. Let's do an applause. I think you're getting a lot of applause and great. Thank you. I think Kelley, really fabulous, fabulous. I think it is what you and Jill have both shared is it's possible to make an experience out of a kickoff that's virtual amazing, right? It doesn't need to suck. It can be a positive, rewarding, educational experience that's going to drive outcomes. And you've both proven that. And the fact that your leadership team, Kelley, has said best ever, like think about that for a second. Like think about that. That's amazing. Are you ready to take some questions?
Sure.
So I think, so first of all, there is a question that came up earlier, which I think is relevant to you. So can you maybe give a little bit more color around the time zones and how did you, like, what were some of the logistics you had to deal with to accommodate for everyone globally?
That was really confusing for me initially, and then even for our regional teams as we tried to figure this out. But one thing that did help us is that traditionally when we produce our product training, we actually offer it at 2 different times each time. So we have one training that's generally geared for our Americas and EMEA's team, and then one that's geared more for our APAC and China. So we leveraged that structure to do our live training. We also just communicated out. We knew that in the regions, the leaders were going to have their own agenda for those 2nd and 3rd days. So we told them, here's your block for training. You should be doing, basically, we gave them a schedule. Here's your live training and here's your pre-recorded training. Take this block of time and go through that. And then, just if you need to move the pre-recorded stuff around, you can, but just know it's going to take this much time to go through. So dedicate that to it.
It's great, Kelley. What about awards? How did you handle awards?
That was really different. We did it regionally, and we announced we had a slight change. We've previously done President's Club, and this year we changed it to CEO Circle because we don't have a president anymore. We have a CEO. But we just shared that out over WebEx, just like we did a live Q&A. So like we did our pre-recorded general sessions. Those were all done months ahead of time and been working on and were laid out for people to go through. But we did have a live Q&A panel with our executives. So we did the Q&A panel and then live awards at the same time.
No, that's great. I'm just watching the clock here. How did you get all the fun swag out to everyone? How did you
That
shipping.
was a huge event. I wasn't personally involved with that, thank goodness. But we did have members of our event team that worked with our, our promotions team to get all of the, working with HR, working with the regions to get everybody's home address, and then working with our promotions team to get everything packaged up in those really lovely data voyage boxes and out to people's homes.
Oh, it's great. I there is a question coming up, and I think about team building. And so, what kind of team building did you incorporate into the experience before, during, after? And if you can comment, and I think we'll probably open that question up to everyone when we come together as well, because it's a hot question.
So, well, for me personally, team building is definitely one of the areas that we missed out on, and that was one thing that was commented on. Just that, knowing that because we couldn't be live and because we couldn't do our traditional team building, and this is the one time a year where our global sales organization gets to come together. That was something that everybody missed. We
Yep.
tried to bring that together a little bit more through using SalesHood, because things are done within teams there, and the teams are interacting with each other and commenting together. So that's one way we did it. And then also, when we had, using Microsoft, we had teams, groups that were created just for, EMEA, just for Americas, just for APAC. And there was a lot of interaction from our teams, just, talking about training, talking about messaging. Our EMEA team was actually all over it. They were on all the time sharing. They shared the training that they liked. They were making training recommendations. They were sharing information about a live session that was coming up. So they really utilized that Teams platform to interact with each other.
No, that's great. I think Kelley, really did a great job. And kudos to you and your team and everybody in your organization, your leaders. I love the theme, and I love how you weaved the theme into the fabric of your agenda and your program. It's spectacular. Let's give Kelley a round of applause. And amazing. Any final words to share before we bring Kelley up? Anything?
I would just echo what Jill said about, I think this is a great opportunity to more frequently bring the sales organization together using this virtual, using virtual platforms. I love to see everybody face to face at least once a year, but I think we have a great opportunity here now that we know it can be done. Get training out, get people together, do this on a more frequent basis. And then that actually makes the live in-person event, maybe it's a little bit more fun, even though it's already a fun thing. It's like you've been getting training all along, you've been doing these major events all along. So now let's make our face-to-face time maybe a little bit more celebratory.
Amazing.